Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to today's webinar brought to you by MEP of Louisiana and the Acadiana Southwest Louisiana section for the ASQ. I am Kayla Myers, educator and VOC for the ASQ section 1423, and I'll be your host today. Today's topic is an overview of MEP of Louisiana services and understanding lien waste, presented by Mr. Baxter Associate of the MEP of Louisiana. Please be on the lookout for upcoming webinars each month from the MEP of Louisiana. As a participant, your audio will be in listen-only mode. During the webinar, there is an opportunity to ask questions using the question window. Add your questions there and we'll address those as time allows at the end of the presentation. This is a live webinar which will be recorded. The recording will be made available on MEP of Louisiana's YouTube channel within the next few days. Hey everyone, before we get started, and for those who are just joining us now, I'm Kayla Myers, educator and VOC of the ASQ Acadiana section of Louisiana, and I'll be your host today. For those who are unfamiliar, can we go to the next screen? Okay, great. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the ASQ, the American Society for Quality is a global leader in quality and consists of a community of passionate people who use their tools, ideas, and expertise to make our world better. ASQ 1423 is a subsection who caters to the Lafayette, Lake Charles, and surrounding areas. Our team is dedicated to helping other quality professionals with providing local resources, assisting with scheduling local certified ASQ training, networking, as well as provide the community with free webinars and opportunities to continue to gain knowledge during our bi-monthly webinars. If there are any newcomers interested in receiving notifications on upcoming webinars, please let me know and I'll be more than happy to sign you up. You will find my information at the top right-hand corner of your screen. A few announcements for the ASQ before we get started. Until further notice, all meetings will be held virtually until December 2021. Planned tours are also postponed until further notice. Next, the ASQ section 1423 is looking for speakers for next year, as well as topic ideas. So if there is anyone who would like to do a presentation, or if you have a topic you would like to learn more about, please let us know. Also, it's that time of year again, and nominations are now open for the treasurer position and secretary position. If you are currently an ASQ member and would like to be nominated or would like to nominate another ASQ member, please contact Ms. D. Woods or myself. All right, everyone, we'll go ahead and get started. And the webinar today is presented by Mr. Baxter, Associate of the MEP of Louisiana. Baxter is a certified Six Sigma Black Belt and seasoned professional with over 20 years experience in continuous improvement disciplines to include lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, safety, and transformation incentives. He has recently been appointed as the Operations Director of the MEP of Louisiana. Baxter supports MEP activities by working in conjunction with the MEP team and LCDCS college partners to create and drive the mission of the National Institute of Standards and Technology to enhance the productivity and technical performance of U.S. manufacturing. Baxter is also tasked with understanding manufacturing needs and helping to grow and sustain the partnership with the community and technical colleges in Louisiana to effectively support manufacturers throughout the state. I'm excited to present to y'all today Mr. Baxter, who will be walking us through MEP of Louisiana resources and understanding lean waste. Mr. Baxter, you take it from here when you're ready.
Great. Thank you, Kayla. Appreciate that introduction, and thank you all for joining us today. So as Kayla mentioned, we're going to highlight a few things of lean and some of the tools that we use in lean, and then a few other tools that are available to you through our MEP system. So first, I'd like to just sort of reiterate that we are part of the LCDCS MEP of Louisiana. We're partnered with colleges and the system to complete the mission of the MEP National Network. Thanks. The MEP National Network is a unique public-private partnership that delivers comprehensive, proven solutions to U.S. manufacturers, fueling growth and advancing U.S. manufacturing overall. All right, so we want to show you sort of where our partners are located. The LCDCS became the host organization for Louisiana's MEP in 2016 and has developed an expanded integration, bringing comprehensive, proven solutions to Louisiana manufacturers on a local level. So boots on the ground, if you will, and we have offices all over the state that can help companies in Louisiana. Next. So the MEP helps U.S. manufacturers through a range of services by helping to reduce costs, improve existing processes, become more innovative and responsive, plan for the future, and attract supply chain partners. Oops. One of the things that we'll cover today is what are lean manufacturing basics and what is lean. The lean is a way of doing business that focuses on the customer and looks for ways to always be adding value to any operation or process. If the process or activity is not adding value, then it's just adding cost and time to the operation. So in lean, we focus on identifying and eliminating waste where we can. Next. Where did lean start? Well, from the picture, you can tell it started from the donut factory. No, I'm joking. Lean concepts were originally conceived in the 1920s by Henry Ford. And the reason we call Henry Ford the father of lean is because he is, I guess, credited with starting the first manufacturing assembly lines and having interchangeability of parts and components on automobiles. The development of lean concepts and tools enable any company or organization to adopt and implement lean throughout their operation. So while the MEP of Louisiana focuses on manufacturing companies, I want you to understand that a lean can be implemented in any type of company. In service industries, we've also done it in the medical industry. You can do it, of course, in manufacturing, where we're focusing today, and lots of other places. So lean works everywhere. So once again, it focuses on identifying and eliminating waste and making us more productive. Next. All right, so we have a few examples here of before lean and after lean. So in this case, this is someone's workstation. And it's a great time to be sharing knowledge like this and examples like this because, you know, unfortunately, in today's working environment and climate, all too often we may have a coworker or an employee that may test positive and have to be in quarantine, or may have been exposed to someone and be in quarantine and have to leave the facility immediately and someone take their place. So we look at, you know, if I had to step into this person's work environment, I probably wouldn't understand what was going on or where all my, you know, equipment was that I needed to step into somebody else's role efficiently and quickly and do a good job. Let's look at the next picture as to after lean, what we got. So after lean, you can see that all the components used for that job are labeled clearly. They're raised up so that the work surface is clean and neat. And on the wall in the background, you can see there are work instructions there to explain the processes for that operation. So, you know, lean has always been valuable and important, but in today's climate, it's even more critical that we do this as much as we can so that other people can slip in for us and help out if we need. Next slide. We have another example here of a workstation. So to my example earlier that lean is not just done on the manufacturing floor, lean can be done in an office environment, anywhere. So probably many of you walk by people's offices, or your own office may look this way, where it looks like maybe there was a hurricane recently. You know, if someone had to come in and step in for you, they may have a really difficult time picking up where to get started and where to take off from there. So let's look at how this looks after lean. So you can see that we've kind of organized things, we put things in a place, and in lean we say a place for everything and everything in its place. So we're looking at how can we, you know, come into work with a clear mind. If you walk into your office every morning and it looks like a tornado just passed through, you know, you're probably starting your day off in a stressful mode. When you walk into an office environment like this in the morning, you can have a clear mind, you can, set your priorities and get after being productive. And that's our goal here. Okay, next. All right, so in lean manufacturing, talk about some of the key tools that we use. One being value stream mapping, another Toyota Kata, which we will talk a little bit more about in the next few slides. 5S system, which is workplace organization. We use those examples in the pictures we just showed. Kaizen events. These are short events where we might look to focus our efforts on a specific challenge in the organization that we're trying to fix. Not so much a long journey, but let's tackle some specific challenge that we're having and make it better. Quick changeover and setup production. That's when we're looking at the time that our equipment is down or we're switching from one component to another. How much time is that taking? Do we have all the things we need, and how can we do that efficiently? Pull systems, lean office. We showed you a few pictures of that. Lean certifications, we do provide that. We can train people at different levels of lean to be able to be practitioners in their own facilities. And then total productive maintenance is where you're looking at not running equipment to failure, but having a plan in place where you check and work on equipment on a scheduled basis so that you extend the life of your equipment and you have less downtime. That's what we're looking for. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so let's look at some examples of the 8 wastes of lean. So typically when we're looking at the time that we spend on the value-added work, 95% of the time that we spend from when we get a phone call for an order, to when we get paid for that product or service that we did, 95% of that is non-value added, meaning that those are tasks that we do that don't exactly necessarily improve or change the product that we're making. There are all these other things that we have to do. So let's look at some of those wastes. Defects, rework, overproduction of work in process. So one of the things that we do in lean is we look at balancing workflow. And right now, especially while employers are very challenged with bringing people onto the workforce and having enough people to do the job, we find sometimes you might go to one station, somebody's really got a pile of work ahead of them, and they're really struggling to get their work out that day, and the next person doesn't have much to do. And so we look at, hey, how can we balance that work throughout the plant, and how can we work better with the resources that we have, and not just cause other people up the line to be waiting. Non-value added processing, that sort of gets after doing things that the customer may not have asked for, but we like to do, or maybe one customer asked for, and it may be doing more than we need to do. The next is transportation of parts, materials, and tooling. So we work with lots of clients that the employee might have had to leave his workstation, go way across the building or way across the facility to get something that they need to complete a job. And being here in Louisiana, one of the things we enjoy doing is stopping to talk to people along the way, right? So we're going to ask somebody, hey, did you go fishing this weekend? Hey, did you see the game? And next thing you know, a task that should have taken 5 minutes to go get to might take 45 minutes or so before you get back to your workstation and do what you need to. It's great that we're social people, right? But that can add waste to our processes and slow us down. So the next is inventory in excess, and so sometimes in the work that we do, we have engineering change notices, maybe a customer request might be thrown in, and parts have to change. And if we have too much work in process, too much inventory, lots of things can happen. It can either be just have to be scrapped, it can have to be reworked, or sometimes when things are date sensitive, they might expire and we won't be able to use them or sell them. So we need to be mindful of that and just make what our customers need. The next is motion, excessive motion, and that speaks to how much are we moving around where our working environment is to get the job done. So in cases where we have repetitive stress injuries, where people are bending down a lot more often than they need to, or they're doing things that are repetitive, sometimes we can have an injury. And so we want to evaluate those things, say, hey, how can we move the work up to a level where they don't have to bend as much, they don't have to reach as much, have things right around them, and make it a safe working environment, so we can eliminate that. The next thing that we tackle is underutilized employees as a waste. And that speaks more to, are we getting the most out of our employees? Sometimes employees get bored because they're not challenged, or they're not given an opportunity to grow. And so we want to make sure that as leaders, business owners, managers, that we're evaluating and reviewing employees on a regular basis to see, are they challenged, or do they have any other desires to learn something else at work, or move up to another position? Have we identified those things? Because sometimes if people get bored or they don't feel valued, they may leave and go to another company, right? We all know it's hard to find employees now, so we don't want to lose the ones that we have. All right, so we're going to pause for a second here and take a poll question right now. Let's get that poll up. Which of these wastes are most evident at your facility? All right, I'll give you a minute to take that poll. Hoping to have a lot of participants on this so that we can give a good feedback to you. All right, so let's look at which ones are the top hitters for us. So watching machine run, right? So sometimes when you just walk through the plant, you might see somebody idle and they're just watching. So either very good at what they do and they've automated some of their processes, or there may be a little bit of waste there, right? They might be just waiting on things, waiting or for counting parts. The things that we can do to help in lean, in identifying, this is obviously one of the top ones that we have in the survey. Things that we can do to eliminate having to do those things manually, either having containers that can fit a certain amount, or kind of count those things for us a little bit easier, having ways to label those things. It helps eliminate some of that waste. Making more than can be sold. We may be all a little bit guilty of that. Sometimes we want to keep employees busy, but when you do that, you're tying up raw materials, and you're also putting wear and tear on your equipment and machinery. So we want to keep that in mind. That's definitely a good waste to keep an eye on. Moving parts over long distances, another high hitter for us. When we come in to a company and we work with them about making things more efficient, that's one of the first things that we do in interviewing employees. Like, where are you going to get the things that you need, and how can we change that a little bit to make it easier for us so that you can have more productivity? And then storing work in process inventory, obviously another very high hitter for us. So, we have all seen work in between stations piling up, and so one of the things that we focus on in lean training and working on events with companies is that we're looking at how can we balance that work out a little bit more evenly? Do we have to put 2 people at one machine where there was 1 before? What can we do? Do we need to buy more equipment so that we can process that particular part of the component a little bit more efficiently and get things through? So we look for the bottlenecks and where can we help to eliminate those and make things flow through the plant in a better fashion and more efficiently. All right, thanks so much. That was certainly some good answers for us. All right, next slide. Okay, so why would we want to focus on those 8 wastes? Okay, because the 8 wastes are just symptoms of a more systemic problem, right? Recognizing waste leads to identifying the root cause. So another thing that we train folks for our plants is root cause analysis, which is a great tool in looking at and the 5 whys and the why tree getting down to the root cause of why something keeps happening in our plant, or why do we keep having defects, is very valuable for us. Underlying any waste is a systemic flaw involving people, materials, machines, and or information. So maybe we're working from the wrong instructions, or maybe we might not be working from the latest revision. You know, all too often it's human nature to point fingers at people and blame people. So with lean, we try to pull back from that. And we try to say, hey, you know what, we all have potential. You know, let's look at where did things break down. It's not just a people issue. You know, maybe they're not working with the best equipment. Maybe there's something that needs to be repaired on their machine so that they don't have defects on the final part. So we try to look at all those things and get to the root cause so that we can make improvements that are sustainable. All right. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is examples of those wastes, or watching, you know, as we mentioned, watching machine run. That speaks to underutilized people. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, people, you know, we all think maybe we may want to, you know, not be challenged in our jobs, or let's not be so stressed out. But it's just human nature to want to be fulfilled when you leave at the end of the day, knowing I made a difference in the company. I made some parts. I did this. I got some things accomplished. You don't want to, you know, watch the clock all day long, right? Waiting for parts, waiting waste. As a few of you mentioned on the survey of the poll question, counting parts, making more can be sold, moving things. So all these are very key things that we want to identify. And typically when we come in and work with a business, we're going to look at, let's do a basic lean assessment. Let's see where the greatest opportunities are for improvement, and then let's identify those areas and start to work on those where you have low-hanging fruit, or you can have the most quick impact. Excuse me, have the most impact, and it becomes then a program of attraction. We worked with several companies where you know, we couldn't get a volunteer for us to, you know, go in and actually evaluate somebody's work area. Nobody wanted to let us know that their baby was ugly, right? So once we finally got a few reluctant volunteers and we started to improve their work areas, you know, next we had people coming up, hey, can I do next? When is it going to be my turn? When are you guys coming over to my area to make it better? So, you know, making it a program of attraction where we really want to make things better for employees to not be in a stressful work environment. It's really good benefit to this. All right, next. All right, so standards are more than documents. So in doing lean and implementing lean in the facility, there's several key things, and what we call SOPs, or standard operating procedures, you know, really help to make a job, you know, much more efficient. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, if you have employees that sometimes are, you know, either removed from the work because of maybe they have to be quarantined, or maybe they're taking vacation, someone else has to come and sit here, or maybe they call in sick, someone has to come in and sit in their place. You know, these things that we do help the whole company to stay on their production schedules and to be efficient and to not have more defects and waste. So some of the examples here in this photograph are color coding, which we call mistake proofing. It's one of the tools we use in mistake proofing. Having work instructions right at their workstation so that it's clearly defined and that we're communicating well with the person at the workstation what is expected of them to get a good part out. Having an organized workspace and workstation, and making sure that we keep ergonomics in mind, that they're comfortable and they're not straining or stressing to get the job done. And then having the right tooling at their desk or at their workstation so that they're not going around hunting for tools, or they're using something else instead of what they should be using to get the job done correctly. It might lead to defects and scrap. So now we have another poll question we want to pull up. Let's see what we have. All right, so have you implemented lean in your facility, or are you aware of lean? Have you seen some examples of that throughout your company? And have you led any of those, participated in those? Tell us where you are on your lean journey. I'll give you a minute for that, and then we'll tackle it. Okay, all right, let's look at that. Results. Okay, so 84% of you have heard of lean or maybe have implemented lean, which is incredible. And I'll let you know or share with you right now. One of the things that we tell people when we're working with them is that you want to do lean with people, you don't want to do lean to them. So make sure if you're gonna have an effort, or you might have what we call a Kaizen event where you're focusing on an area to improve, make sure that you're including the people that work in the area so that they have some input and they feel valued. You're going to have a much better chance of sustaining those results. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, so another tool that we are introducing is called Toyota Kata. And so what this is, we have a little bit of detail on the right. And so what this is sort of new habits. Developing new habits, allowing people to think differently about problems and goals. And so you remember a few minutes ago I mentioned we want to get away from finger pointing and saying, oh, it was just that person. Boy, if you just get rid of that person, we wouldn't have any problems. We want to think differently. We want to think as a team. So it's an opportunity to work together and to use critical thinking skills. So we want to use scientific thinking to help make teams and organizations more effective and successful. So when we try to tackle a challenge or a problem we're having in the organization as a team, we have more input. Sometimes it's good to invite somebody with outside of where the issue is happening, so that we have some outside eyes looking at it from a different perspective. And so we teach these things to help people develop a culture of continuous learning and improvement through deliberate practice. So it takes some time. It's a culture changing thing, but it's also very beneficial and good to sustain. All right, next. All right, now we have another polling question after this slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is business continuity plans. Okay. So business continuity is a planning and preparation of a company to make sure it overcomes serious incidents and/or disasters and resumes its normal operations within a reasonably short period of time. So as you all know, or too painfully aware, we have had 2 hurricanes this past year. We're in the middle of hurricane season again right now. We had an ice storm that was quite unexpected, and I was lucky enough to have one of my children getting married that week. It's quite an interesting week. And we have to have backup plans for these things, right? So we're looking at this as what are the components of this in a nutshell? It's a risk assessment, identifying the impacts to the business. It's site specific, site and location specific, because even though we have a company that might have multiple locations, we're not all affected the same way or impacted the same way from a hurricane or a storm or other things like that, right? It's going to cover all aspects key to continuing to be in business, identifying whether or not we have backup plans, training and drills. This is a critical piece of this. So, let's practice. What do we do? Let's have a mock-up of an event happening, and see if we have any gaps in that, or if it falls through, or we actually execute it well. Accountability and ownership. That's very important. We can say we have a plan, but if we don't assign responsibility and know who to go to and communicate that plan well, it's all going to fall apart, right? So, and make sure that we update that plan regularly. If we make any modifications to the facility, or people change roles in the organization, we have to be on top of that, because when these events happen, we're not given much notice, and having a good plan that is updated regularly is critical to your business sustainability. So let's get after our number 3 poll question here. So are you aware of the free business continuity assessment tool on our MEPOL.org website? So please take a moment to answer that, and I'll give a little description of it after we get that. All right, let's get back to our slide, because from the answers that we got, it's important that I communicate this next piece of our presentation. Let's get back to that. So absolutely no one's aware of that. And to be honest with you, I won't call it a trick question, but we've recently added this tool onto our website, and it's a free service. Even if you are not a manufacturer, I would recommend that you try this tool out and use it. So let me tell you a little bit about it. So the LCDCS MEP Louisiana offers a variety of tools and services that can help you. If you go to our website, mepol.org, you can see that at the bottom of the slide. You can click onto this and take this assessment to just assess your own business. And then we'll get a report will be generated to us, and we will follow up with you and let you know the results and give you some feedback and schedule appointments. So if you want to do this, as you can see on the slide, the username is all lowercase guest, just spell guest out, and the password is survey. And you can get on there and do that. It's a great service that the LCDCS MEP offers to businesses in the state of Louisiana, and we'd love to get you to get in there and see. It's good for you to know where you are on this. All right, let's get on to the next slide. Tell a little bit more about it. Okay, so we want to talk about mitigating risk. What type of risk? So potential crises that can disrupt the manufacturing business, or any business actually. Hurricanes, floods, unexpected power outages, fire, blizzards. I wouldn't say blizzards necessarily down here, but we definitely did experience an ice storm that crippled lots of businesses here this past February. You wouldn't guess it from the temperatures the last few weeks, but yeah, we did suffer that. So supplier issues, so while you may be in an area of the state that doesn't often have to deal with any of these things, or you really have your business set up well, you may be impacted by whether your supplier can get to you or not. And so having some backup plans are critical. And another service that our MEP, the LCDCS MEP Louisiana offers, is scouting for suppliers throughout the United States. So a key benefit of the MEP, and the fact that it is here in Louisiana, is that we're connected to all of the MEPs throughout the United States. And we have a portal where we can send out, if we have a request from a client that they're looking for a supplier, maybe a supplier that currently have one of these things happen to them, we can send out, and look for help to do a scouting project for you to find a backup supplier or to get another key supplier so that you're not so dependent on just one, okay? Critical customer issues, transportation logistics, when roads are frozen or there's flooding and different things, issues that you want to make sure that you can mitigate. Active shooter, fairly recent phenomenon that we have to be mindful of. Do you have a plan? Have you communicated with your employees if something bizarre happens? Do we have muster points? Have we gone through some drills? Do we have a plan for that? It's important to communicate those things. And then another one is cybersecurity issues. We've had several clients in the last few years that have had to deal with cybersecurity issues. And does your company have a plan for that? What would you do? Do you feel like we also provide cyber assessments. If your company would like to have a cyber assessment to see if you have any weaknesses or need to shore something up, we can connect you to the right resources. Just contact the MEP of Louisiana. What can a manufacturer do to prevent a loss of revenue, or as we said, any business in that case? Do a gap or risk analysis. Create a business continuity plan. Make improvements from that gap analysis that you have in your hands. Once you take the assessment on our website, we can help you to close those gaps. Train your employees, make sure you communicate that plan well, and then update that plan on a regular basis, okay? All right, let's take the poll 4 question now. Have you implemented a business continuity plan at your facility? Does your company actively have a business continuity plan? I'll give you a minute to answer that. let's see what our answers are here. Wow, okay, so it looks like we have quite a bit of opportunity for the participants on this webinar to use MEP's free tool. So feel welcome to get on there and to try that out, and we can follow up with you. So it's important. We all know that we have experienced hurricanes. They're not just a myth. You know, that's definitely one thing. We're in the middle of that season right now. You know, and then there are these other things that could come up that are quite unexpected. So talk to your other leaders in your company when you get off of this webinar. Ask about that, and not a bad idea to start down this path. And as I mentioned, it's a free tool, a free service that we offer. Now, there's some other resources that are offered through the LCDCS MEP. I just want to put those up on the screen for you. I'm not going to go into great detail, but if you are indeed a manufacturer and you have, we can do a Duns and Bradstreet background, you know, get that number in, and your NAICS code matches manufacturing. There are all sorts of resources that are available to you. These are resources available to lots of types of companies in the state of Louisiana. We just particularly have a focus on manufacturers, but these resources are available. So if you have any questions about any of these, let's go to the next slide. You can contact the MEP, and we can at least get you in the right direction to find out more about these programs. So there's training programs, there's you know, funded things through IWTP, Incumbent Worker Training. There's you know, the Louisiana Reboot Program. There's the Opportunity Machine for entrepreneurs. There's the Louisiana Business Incubator. All types of things that are available that you're busy running a business and you may not know very much about these programs. The LCDCS MEP is a great resource. Just to contact us and we can get some of that information to you and get the right connection for you. Okay. All right. So here's our slide that shows you how to get in touch with us. If you have any questions after the webinar and ongoing with your business. And we also want to open up now for questions. If any of you have put questions in the chat box or have questions, we can address that. And if not, it means that I'm just an excellent speaker and I have addressed all the things that you guys are thinking while I was talking. Maybe not. We have none? Okay. All right. All right. Well, that being said, we can give you about 20 minutes back, 23 minutes back of your day today. So we actually leaned out this webinar for you. So some value add there. So please remember to go to our website. You can see it on the slide, www.mepol.org. Please take that business continuity assessment. We would love for you to participate in that, take advantage of that free service. And if you have any questions, by all means, call us. That number is 337-394-2763. All right, and so now I'll turn it over to Ms. Kayla Myers and let her close it up.
Okay, great, Baxter. Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm definitely going to be going to the website to do the continuity plan. That's a great resource, I think, that's going to help out. But I also like to give a huge thanks to Kayla Gentry, that's behind the scenes with us today. She definitely helped us put all this together for us. And I want to thank the MEP team as well for letting us host y'all and being a part of our ASQ. So, and thank you everyone for coming. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And if y'all have any questions, just please contact me.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.